Dr. Phil is on a rampage recently after he went on The View and destroyed them. He went on a couple other shows like Real Time with Bill Maher and just absolutely destroyed all of his woke talking points. And now he's bringing on DEI experts and DEI lunatics who are trying to defend DEI and, just destroying all of their woke talking points as well. And also, Dr. Phil discusses the Coca-Cola trying to train their employees to be less white and absolutely obliterates everything that Coca-Cola is trying to train their employees to do. Let's check this out, man. Let's check out these clips here from Dr. Phil just destroying the woke talking points again.
This is a memo from Coca-Cola, and it's confronting racism training at Coca-Cola. One heading, try to be less white.
What does that mean?
Can you imagine, just for a second, just sit here and imagine if there was a memo that was released from any company, any corporation out there that said, try to be less, insert any color out there. Could be black, could be, try to be less Hispanic. Imagine the backlash. Like that company would be it would be bankrupt. It would be probably debanked. No, it would be all of the things. And, within a week, it will be talked about on every single news station. But Coca-Cola releases a memo that says, try to be less white. Nobody talks about it. Nobody cares. There's a few people talking about it, like Dr. Phil is obviously talking about it here. But, Joe Rogan mentioned it, I think. And other than that, like no news stations are really picking this up. Not even Fox News, I don't think has even really talked about it. It's not a big deal. But if it was any other color except for white, any other race, it would be the biggest news story ever.
In the U.S. and other Western nations, white people are socialized to feel they are inherently superior because they are white. To be less white is to be less oppressive, be less arrogant, be less certain, be less defensive, be less ignorant, be more humble, break with white solidarity. Eric, you've seen this memo. What do you think this does inside an organization?
I want to speak to why this...
Real quick, any white people watching this, have you guys ever felt like you were born or were you raised, were you brainwashed, were you led to believe that you were socially superior because of the color of your skin? Anybody, like maybe there are some certain areas of the country that still do that. I haven't experienced it personally. I never heard of that before. I think this is like a boogeyman that they're trying to chase after. They're using that as a way to just divide the country further. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are some white people out there who were led, who were, brainwashed and engineered, socially engineered to believe that they are superior because of the color of their skin. But I mean, obviously there are people out there who believe that. There's no doubt there are like select spots in the country that do believe that. But this seems like a boogeyman that they're trying to chase after, that they're using to spread this propaganda to divide us further. Let's listen to Dr. Phil just shred this thing.
Even happened in the first place. Coca-Cola didn't know what to do after George Floyd. They wanted to do the right thing, but they wanted to do it quickly. And that's the issue. These are adaptive problems. They're not technical problems. A technical problem is if you bring a car to the mechanic, you have a dent in it, he fixes the dent. An adaptive problem is trying to convince the driver to stop drinking before he gets behind the wheel, right? So they're very different problems right now. And Coca-Cola was trying to use a technical solution for an adaptive solution. They went out, they found somebody who said they were doing DEI stuff, and they said, fine, you're hired. They just found somebody who had a bad idea and hired them.
That's a bad idea.
Yeah, highly bad idea.
Yeah, we saw that with Bud Light as well. They hired somebody who was focused on diversity and inclusion and all that other stuff. And what did they do? They put Dylan Mulvaney on a Bud Light can, had some ads filmed by Dylan Mulvaney, and their whole company lost 40, 50% of their sales, year over year. And in comparison to the previous year, they were down 40 to 50% or more. And that wasn't like a fad. That wasn't a one weekend thing. That thing lasted for a year. It's still going. Their sales are still down. They ruined the Bud Light brand because they just hired somebody who wanted diversity and, they thought it would be a good look for the company. Who knows why? I mean, I guess we kind of do know why, because they have certain scores where they can get more funding. They can get more investors if they do have this diversity and they do hire DEI experts. They can get more funding from BlackRock, etc. But I don't understand. I guess it must be worth it, right? Like if all these companies continue to tank their stock, continue to tank their sales in the name of doing stuff like this, of training their employees like Coca-Cola to be less white, like Bud Light hiring Dylan Mulvaney. That one was probably an extreme example where the funding that they got from that, the good points that they got, the positive points that they got from their overlords probably didn't outweigh how much sales they lost. But if every single company is doing this, there must be a reason why. They must be getting something really, really good on the back end to continue to tank all of these brands.
I would think that would create a lot of tension. And I've talked to kids in school that go through some exposure to this, and they come away saying, they're talking to us about being oppressors and oppressed. We got along fine until they came in and told us this distinction.
If you enjoy content like this, and make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
And the same thing came up about teaching math. There was a movement, and I think it's still afoot, to grade differently on math based on the desire to learn it.
The thing is, like, I don't even think, when I say that there's a boogeyman that they're chasing after so that they can divide the country further and everything, I don't even think it's white people that they're chasing after. I think it's racism in general is the boogeyman. Because when they start calling things like math racist, like they're literally saying math is racist, and unironically, and people are believing it. Like they're getting behind it. They're saying, yeah, math is racist. Matter of fact, well, they say having to provide identification when trying to vote is racist. Then racism is the boogeyman. They're trying to create racism. They're trying to create, people, they're trying to create emotion out of people from racism. They know that racism gets a lot of emotion out of people. And then they're trying to use that to create more division in the country. It's very, very obvious.
And we don't care as much about rigor. We don't care as much about the skills they need for their future. We care about the numbers.
Some campuses, like the University of Minnesota, are taking DEI to a whole nother level. The School of Medicine came under fire after a video of a white coat ceremony gained attention online. Let's take a quick look at this pledge that they have to stand up and give in the beginning.
With gratitude, we, the students of the University of Minnesota Twin Cities Medical School class of 2026.
If you enjoy content like this, and make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Stand here today among our friends, families, peers, mentors, and communities. We recognize inequities built by past and present traumas rooted in white supremacy, colonialism, the gender binary, ableism, and all forms of oppression. We commit to promoting a culture of anti-racism, listening and amplifying voices for positive change. We pledge to honor all Indigenous ways of healing that have been historically marginalized by Western medicine.
What the hell's that all about?
So imagine being that much of a cuck that you actually sit there and read that. As I would just walk out the room. Like, I'll be honest with you. I'm not reading that. Zero chance of me reading. Let me know in the comments. Would you read that just so you can get your diploma? I'm not reading that. I don't care. No way.
Oh.
Did they lower the standards for you?
No, they weren't, and I'm grateful that those standards weren't lowered. I don't want the bar to be lowered. As a business owner, as a person who's engaged, don't lower the high jump bar for me. That's an insult to me. That's an insult to my dignity. I think that's one of the things that is very destructive for Black Americans is we keep lowering the bar or communicating this sense of we need to lower the standard just a little.
And that's the real racism. That's the ironic part about this whole thing. Shout out to this guy who's talking about this on Dr. Phil here. That's the real racism. Like, they try to create this boogeyman that math is racist, that we need to be trained at Coca-Cola, like Dr. Phil was talking about, to be less white, or else we are racist. Like, the real racism is the fact that they want to lower the bar so that Black people can get into schools and stuff like that. That is real racism, because that's not helping them at all. Like, you might think it's helping them because, they can get into college, they can get jobs and stuff like this, but they're not going to be prepared whenever they get there. What we need to do is, if it's real that Black people are less educated or whatever, and they can't get into college at the same rate as everyone else, we should just teach them and not lower the bar so that they feel comfortable staying at their same level. That's obviously not up to the standard of everyone else. If that is really the case, wouldn't it be a lot better instead of lowering the bar to get into the military, shouldn't we just promote higher fitness standards throughout the country? Doesn't that make more sense so that we don't water down the military? It's the same thing. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you're thinking about this Dr. Phil clip here of Dr. Phil just trashing on Coca-Cola and the rest of this woke nonsense. I think it's great that Dr. Phil is now on this anti-woke rampage. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking about this episode of Dr. Phil Primetime. If you did enjoy the video, please leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and hope to see you guys on the next one.